There comes a moment in your life when everything changes, not because your surroundings change, not because other people finally treat you better, but because you remember who you are. And when that moment hits, it shakes everything. It shakes people who thought they had you figured out. It shakes those who underestimated you. It shakes those who tried to mold you into something small, controllable, forgettable. But you remembered, and now they're the ones who don't know what to do. Welcome back, Advancing Kings and Queens. Today, we're talking about identity. Not the identity that others try to assign to you. Not the version of you they projected or expected. We're talking about your true self, the you that existed before the pain, before the heartbreak, before the self-doubt, that divine, radiant, powerful you. And when you tap back into that version of yourself, something in the atmosphere shifted. For a long time, you may have been walking around forgetting your value. You may have been tolerating behavior that didn't align with your spirit. You may have stayed in relationships, friendships, or environments that drained you because you were disconnected from your truth. You were overgiving, over-explaining, over-compensating. You forgot that you were royalty. You forgot that you were chosen. You forgot that your worth isn't based on someone else's ability to recognize it. But now you remember, and that memory is powerful. When a person remembers who they are, they stop settling. They stop shrinking. They stop apologizing for their light. And those who are comfortable with the older, more insecure version of you, they start to feel it. They don't say it out loud at first, but deep down, they sense the change. You no longer react the same way. You no longer seek their approval. You no longer chase after the bare minimum. And that alone can shake people to the core. You see, some people only had a place in your life because you forgot who you were. Their access was granted by your forgetfulness. But now that you remember, they're exposed. They're no longer dealing with the confused version of you. They're dealing with someone awakened, someone aligned, someone who now walks in truth and clarity. Let's break it down. What does remembering who you actually are look like? It's in the way you carry yourself. Your silence becomes louder than your words. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your boundaries become solid. You no longer accept breadcrumbs. when you know you deserve the entire feast. You don't argue with people trying to misunderstand you. You don't entertain energy that feels off. You're not desperate for attention because you're already full from within. And this shakes people. It shakes the ones who used to manipulate you, the ones who played hot and cold, the ones who gaslit you and made you feel like you were the problem. It shakes the ones who thought you'd always be available, the ones who thrived on your insecurity, who fed off your people pleasing. Suddenly, they can't control you with guilt. Suddenly, their silence doesn't hurt you. Their absence doesn't affect you. You've unplugged from their approval. And now you're anchored in your own worth. There's a spiritual force behind this. This isn't just self-help or confidence. This is divine remembrance. It's you reconnecting with your God-given identity. The Almighty never intended for you to live small. You were never meant to be someone else's emotional punching bag. You were never created to beg for love, to doubt your voice, to question your beauty, to question your beauty or your purpose. You are the light. You are chosen. You are royalty. And the moment you remember that, your whole world started to reflect it. People don't always cheer for your healing. Some become uncomfortable with it because your growth exposes their stagnation. Your confidence reveals their insecurities. Your joy reminds them of the peace they don't have. So they may withdraw. They may start acting strange. They may try to bring up your past, hoping to shrink you back to who you were. But you can't fit there anymore. That old version of you no longer exists. You've outgrown it. You've transcended it. You've evolved. And when you remember who you are, you also start to remember what you deserve. You stop forcing connections. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop compromising your peace just to be accepted. Because the one who accepts you must align with your spirit. You no longer settle for chaos. You crave clarity. You no longer beg to be seen. You shine. And the right people, those who are aligned with the divine version of you, will recognize that light without you having to dim it. You'll start to feel more confident in your decisions. You'll trust your intuition more. You'll walk away from things that used to confuse you because your identity isn't shaken anymore. It's stable. It's grounded. And that stability is what makes people say, "You've changed." But really, you've just remembered. They don't know how to handle this new you. They used to get a reaction. Now they get silence. They used to have influence. Now they're irrelevant to your peace. They used to be able to manipulate your emotions. Now they can't even reach you because your energy is protected. Your space is sacred and your focus is forward. You're no longer trying to prove yourself to anyone. That's part of the freedom that comes with remembering. You don't need to explain your greatness. You don't need to justify your standards. You don't need to lower your frequency to make others feel comfortable. You've done the work. You've shed the layers. You've confronted the pain. And now you're clear. And with that clarity comes power. Not the kind of power that dominates or manipulates, but divine power. The kind that attracts without effort. The kind that speaks without shouting. The kind that brings peace wherever you go. And yes, that power shakes people who are used to you being unsure of yourself. So what do you do now? Now that you've remembered who you are, what do? You stay rooted. You continue to grow. You hold your peace as your priority. You let your light guide you. You keep choosing alignment over attachment. And you trust that everything and everyone who belongs in your life will flow to you effortlessly. You don't have to chase. You don't have to beg. You don't have to force. You simply allow your energy to speak for itself. You're walking in a new season, one where you are no longer ruled by fear, rejection, or self-doubt. You are led by clarity, truth, and divine purpose. And the ones who once underestimated you, they feel it. They see the glow. They sense the shift. And yes, they're shaken. Not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally become who you've always been. They're shaken because they never expected you to rise. They thought the version of you they mistreated, underestimated, and ignored would stay stuck in that place forever. But you evolved, you elevated, you remembered, and now you're moving in a way that they can't keep up with. Some of them are pretending they don't notice, but trust me, they do. They feel your absence differently right now. What they once took for granted has now become a loss they can't ignore. And even if they never say it out loud, your glow bothers their shadow. Your presence once soothed their ego. Now your absence soothes their lesson. You've become a mirror. You reflect everything they're not willing to face about themselves. Your boundaries reflect their lack of respect. Your peace reflects their inner chaos. Your purpose reminds them of their distraction. And instead of doing the work to grow, instead of doing that work, they try to bring you back down. That's how spiritual misalignment works. The unhealed can't stand the healed. The insecure can't handle the confident. The manipulative can't stand the person they can no longer control. So they try to test you. They show up with old tactics, old energy. They might try to poke at your wounds, hoping you'll react the way you used to. But it doesn't work anymore. You're not triggered like you once were. You respond with calm. You choose peace over pettiness. How about that? Peace over pettiness. You respond with silence, with wisdom, with grace. And that's what shakes them even more. Because they can't figure out how you became so strong. And that's the truth. You didn't just wake up like this. You went through it. You cried. You broke. You healed. You went through seasons of pain, isolation, and deep inner work. There were nights you felt lost. Days when you doubted everything. Moments when you questioned your worth. But you kept showing up for yourself. You kept choosing growth, even when it hurt. And that's what they don't see. That's what they don't understand. They see the power, but not the process. They see the confidence, but not the climb. They see the glow, but not the fire you walked through to get here. You remembered who you are because you were willing to unbecome everything you weren't. You let go of false identities. You released the need to be liked. You walked away from environments that didn't honor your spirit. And now you stand rooted, unshaken, unbothered. This new version of you, this aligned, spiritually grounded version, isn't for everyone. And that's okay. You're not for everyone. You were never meant to fit into places that couldn't hold your power. You were never meant to please people who couldn't see your worth. You were never meant to stay in spaces that required you to forget who you are, just to be accepted. Now that you remember, your standards have shifted. You no longer entertain drama. You no longer respond to chaos. You no longer try to save people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You're not rude. You're not arrogant. You're just aware. And your awareness is your armor. It protects you from being pulled back into cycles that once drained you. And here's the thing. When you're rooted in your identity, you don't chase anything. You attract everything. The right people, the right opportunities, the right peace, they flow to you because your energy is no longer scattered. You're centered. You're aligned. You're walking in purpose. And that kind of energy is rare. That kind of presence is magnetic. People can feel it even before you speak. You walk in the room and the energy shifts. Not because you're loud, but because you're clear. Not because you're perfect, but because you're authentic. That's the power of remembering. It restores your voice. It aligns your steps. It silences the lies that once lived in your mind. It gives you back your crown. And the most beautiful part, you don't need anyone else to validate it. You don't need applause. You don't need to explain yourself. You're not performing. You're simply being. And in that being, you become a living testimony of transformation, a light in dark places, a reminder to others of what's possible when you do the inner work. Let me say this to your spirit. Don't dim your light just because it makes others uncomfortable. Don't go back to who you were just because it feels safer to them. Don't lower your frequency to reconnect with people who only liked you when you were lost. Protect your glow. Protect your peace. Protect your progress, because they are shaken not just by what you've become, but by what they now realize they lost. You had access, or they had access to you when you didn't fully know your worth. But now that you've remembered, the cost to be in your life has gone up. It's no longer based on time or history or obligation. It's based on alignment, on energy, on respect, on truth. And if they can't meet you there, they can't meet you at all. You're no longer afraid to walk alone, because you're not really alone. You're walking with purpose, with clarity, with the Almighty. You're walking with ancestors guiding your steps, with wisdom in your spirit, with lessons in your heart. And that's more than enough. So when they say you've changed, just smile. You didn't change. You returned. You came home to yourself. And now that you're back, the world will adjust. You're not here to make others comfortable. You're here to walk in divine purpose. You're here to lead, to shine, to love boldly, to live truthfully. You remembered who you are, and they're shaken because they can't mold you anymore. They can't manipulate you anymore. They can't access the old you anymore. That version is gone, buried with the lies, the pain, the confusion. What stands now is someone reborn, someone rising, someone unstoppable. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are defined by how you rose from it. That's what they feel now. That's what has them shaken. And you owe no one an apology for your healing. You owe no one a seat at the table who tried to starve you. You owe no one a place in your life if they can't handle the truth of who you've become. Stand tall. Keep shining. Keep advancing. Because this is only the beginning. You remembered who you are. And from this point forward, nothing and no one can stop you. As we hear on this advancing channel, the breeze has been blowing in nature, the sun is shining. It's beautiful out here in nature, and I send you all of this good vibes, all of this good energy. I look forward to reading your comments, to hearing what you have to say. Like, type a comment, share, do all of those things they do on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. Big up every single supporter. Those of you who donate via Super Thanks, even via PayPal, those of you who are members, it goes a long way. It's very important. You are valued and you are appreciated. My name is Mantius, as you already know, I'm sure. This is the Advancing Channel. One love. Hey, who hasn't hit that subscribe button? Hey. One love. Hey, do so. One love. God bless and all the best. I know most of you have. Big up yourself. Thank you so much.